everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. I am Pearl Jean Mabe, and I would like to welcome everyone. Today, the webinar is brought to you as a membership benefit of Heritage Ohio. Heritage Ohio's mission is to help people to save the places that matter, build community, and live better. Today, we'll have a presentation about America in Bloom. We will be taking questions at the end of the presentation. If you have a question, please type it into the chat box. Most issues with the webinar software will be solved if you close the program and restart it with the link that was sent to you. Our presenter today is Delilah Onofrey. Delilah is one of the original founders and a past board member of America in Bloom. She holds a bachelor's degree in journalism from Kent State University and a master's in urban planning design and in development from Cleveland State University. For 18 years, she worked in the greenhouse floriculture trade as an editor of Greenhouse Grower magazine at Meister Media Worldwide in Willoughby, Ohio. Today, she works for Suntory Flowers, a world-leading flower breeder in Japan, from her home in Westlake. And with that, I will hand this over to Delilah.
Thanks, Pearl. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. The sun is shining in Cleveland and spring is on its way, and hope to get everyone blooming. And so Heritage Ohio is a great complementary fit for what we do at America in Bloom. In fact, many of your Main Street towns have also been active in America in Bloom the last 13 years. So I will, to maximize the time we have together for the presentation, I will start talking about America in Bloom. Okay, so what is America in Bloom? It is a national campaign and awards program promoting quality of life in cities, towns, university campuses, business districts, even university campuses, military installations, and now for larger cities we're looking at more neighborhood districts to make it more manageable. So what's unique about America in Bloom is it was founded by the commercial floriculture industry, the greenhouse growers and producers. And so we actually learned how to launch the program from the Canadians who have communities in Bloom. For many years, Canada has very strong programs at the province level that feed their national. So we have the challenge of being a national program without state and regional programs. And the Canadians modeled their programs after established ones in Europe. For example, after World War II, when all the cities got bombed, to rebuild civic pride, both in France and England, they started some programs. The oldest being in France, Ville et Village Fleury. And I have not been to France, but I heard when you're walking around the cities there, it's very common to see a sign that tells you, oh, I'm standing in a four-bloom town, so it's a real tourism and marketing thing. Where in Britain, with a very strong flower focus, it is managed by the Royal Horticultural Society. In Canada, it's mostly the parks and grounds managers, public parks, city parks. It's that group of professionals that launched it in Canada. So we have been more unique with it being the commercial greenhouse floriculture industry. So what we do is we recognize and nurture the efforts to create vibrant, blooming communities, and the program provides a framework for continuous improvement, the reports that come after the judges visit your town. And we're all about connecting people to plants, the benefits of having trees, flowers, plants, and landscaping in your community. And we promote nationwide beautification through education, community involvement, encouraging the use of flowers, plants, trees, and other environmental and lifestyle enhancements. So one thing that is unique about America in Bloom that we learned from the Canadians is while other programs, maybe it's just a certification and enrollment, but here a pair of America in Bloom judges will come visit, and your community leaders or steering committee will take them around to show them all that you're doing. So they provide a very detailed written report with recognizing what you're doing and also all kinds of ideas of how you can take it to the next level. And even for anyone who wants to learn, on our website we've got all kinds of resources, including archived webinars on all kinds of topics. And we also organize an annual educational symposium in a different city every year. And in late September it'll be in Holland, Michigan, and I'm really excited to go to that. I've never missed a symposium. So our pilot year was 2001 with the Canadians, where we had 4 cities mentored by 4 of theirs, and our people learned the program. So now we've got more than 230 communities from 45 states. So this is a real grassroots thing. You plant it and it multiplies. We have about 40 towns in every year, and some participate year after year. And I would say right now, like, our retention from one year to the next is about 2/3, but we always have a fresh influx, or some, maybe they won't do it every year, but every few years. And where when we were first getting started, the opposite was true, where maybe 1/3 was retention, and we were really heavily recruiting the remaining 2/3. So if you add up all the populations of all the towns we've been involved in, we get a big number, like 22 million people. And then, the surrounding towns also, witness the results. And there's also, because of our friendships with the Canadians, an opportunity to be involved in the international programs as well. So just in Ohio, we've had 45 cities. And I'll let you look at this list for a while. You'll recognize many Main Street communities here. And so because American Bloom is based in Columbus, that's one reason why we're very strong in Ohio, and also around Cleveland, where I am. And we just closed registration for 2015, and this shows you all the towns that are in this year. And you can see this is a truly national program, where I would say our hot centers are Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, but also we're gaining traction in California and other parts of the country. So the benefits of participating is to increase community involvement and engagement. It brings people together who might not normally work together on common goals to advance the betterment of the town, but that's what I like the most about it, is already you've got people that have this spirit, whether they're working for the Historical Society or the Main Street program, or their work maintaining the parks and grounds. You've got the Chamber of Commerce, all these people that have an interest in making your town a better place. So the American Bloom program provides an umbrella where they can all contribute, whether it's the Rotary Club, the schools, all kinds of programs. So the whole idea is to spread the message that your town is a great place to live, work, and play. The way you care for your buildings, properties, the colorful plants, the landscaping, shows that your community is well tended. And increasing civic pride, being part of the program. A lot of people say, it really is so fulfilling for them. And, the visible difference, one of the things I've noticed is, for example, when I worked in Willoughby, their hanging basket program is just wonderful. And it's gotten to the point where if those baskets went away, I think people would be very upset. Where in some towns people would say, oh, don't spend money on the baskets. But we want to get to the point where the public appreciates it and values what it brings. So this is how the revitalization happens. And there are studies that show that well-tended communities have less crime. It's just not comfortable to be a criminal in a garden. When things are well maintained and planted, it shows people are caring, they're paying attention, they're watching. So that's another thing. In fact, in Indianapolis, the person in charge of the downtown plantings got the Crime Fighter of the Year award. I mean, that's how big of a deal it is. And also there's, dollars and cents, which is what a lot of people care about. Improved property values, increased occupancy in your downtown district, rising rents and values, increased volunteerism, increased tourism, And then there's the whole cultural exchange you get from being part of American Bloom. And really what you get out of it is what you put into it. That's how it works. So volunteers are the core of this, and the American Bloom program, time and again, is proven to attract all different kinds of people that contribute to the betterment of the city, and leads to, it's been like a real catalyst to do more improvements. Once you get the report, people use the findings to pursue grants. And it's when you can say this third-party source says we need to do this and why, that adds a lot of strength to a grant application. And the mayors routinely remark this is the best community building tool they ever had. And what really blows me away is some places when they start counting the volunteer hours, then that's really astounding, when people are actually keeping track of that, which I believe maybe you do for Main Street. So here's an example of how Bloomington, Indiana with the senior volunteer program, or Logan, Ohio, only 7,000 people there, but they got so into it, their volunteers logged more than 100,000 hours. So this is the kind of things, if you can get this excitement going. And then, regionally and locally, you get in-kind contributions to help. People just want to know how to help. And our judges themselves are volunteers. They volunteer their time. They are not, many of them are retired or have jobs that allow them to travel to visit the cities. And they have a good cross-section of backgrounds in public horticulture, historic preservation. Maybe they were an elected official. A lot of them, their town was in the program, and then they just got hooked, and they want to be evangelists and spread the good news. So, and the judges do get trained every year, and to stay current on what to look for. And so once the cities are signed up, the judging teams are announced, and so the cities are organized into population groups, and each population group gets a pair of judges. So the same two pairs of eyes are visiting all the places, and so they spend time both as coaches and consultants, a very nurturing thing, not a critical thing. And they continue to be available long-term for mentoring. And they, their detailed reports is, probably the biggest takeaway you get. And the communities have often said they get a greater value from the American Bloom evaluation than from expensive consultants. So the annual symposium, as I said, different city every year. And basically it's like a Thursday through Saturday thing, great educational programs, tours, awards banquet, receptions, and so you meet like-minded people from all over the country. You get to see what others are doing, and a lot of awards and recognitions to highlight the best of what everybody's contributing, and nice gala dinner at the end. So after the communities are visited, the judges write their evaluations. Up north in Ohio, most of the towns would be visited in July when everything is in the full garden glory. And so based on the score of the evaluation, 1,000 points possible, there is a bloom rating, with, if you're over 900, that would be a 5 bloom rating. But I would say most of the towns are in the 800s. It would be a 4 bloom rating, and that bloom rating is something your town can promote. And so the awards are presented at the symposium. So there's a population category winner, and also for the evaluation criteria, there are outstanding achievement awards out of all the entrants for the best floral displays, the best urban forestry, best landscaped areas, best community involvement, environmental, heritage preservation, overall impression. So these are nominated by the judges who visit, But also the towns themselves can say, you know what, we want to be considered for these awards, and we can do self-nomination as well, to not just hope you get nominated. And then one thing that became apparent is the passionate community champions that we saw in the towns. So in honor of one of our board members, we created the John R. Holmes III Community Champion Award. So the towns do nominate someone to receive this. We also have a fun YouTube video award, which is just a way to get creative and share the benefits of American Bloom with the public. Hopefully go viral on YouTube. And then another thing, because we've had such retention of cities participating year after year, we have a Circle of Champions Award. So if your town at least 3 times either won your population category or one of the outstanding criteria awards, you become part of the Circle of Champions. And this is the first year where we have a part of the contest just for the Circle of Champions, which helps, so the same towns don't keep winning all the time. So they're broken into a new level now. And then there's all kinds of fun special awards that the judges come up with. Most creative idea for fundraising, best hanging basket. So, little pieces of, what can be done. So the steps to getting involved, first, community must decide it wants to participate. It's highly recommended that, City Hall supports the entry. It would be hard, in some instances, it's either all the city or all volunteer, but it's best to have the right balance as far as the effort and support of the entry. So it could be your Main Street group that's doing the entry, but you definitely want the mayor's office to support it as well. And so American Bloom provides a framework, how to get started, how to make it happen, and everyone in the community can rally behind it. So you complete the application, and so what you want to do is, for the 6 criteria, you can see a blank evaluation grid that tells you exactly what the judges are going to look for. So you want to organize your committees or steering committee, based on how to gather this to pull it together. And most people, the first time they're doing it, they're amazed at how much their town's already doing in urban forestry and recycling and all kinds of things. So then there's a form to create the community profile. So American Bloom provides that template. And so that's kind of taking the inventory of all that your city's doing. Just that in itself is a huge baseline. So whether community is small or large, there's just so many good things happening. And so rarely is this all documented in one place. I know some have gotten so excited where they do a publication for their community to learn all that they're doing. And then step 4 is when the judges come visit. So, their only agenda is to assist you to accomplish your goals. So there's recommendations, idea exchanges. It's a real nurturing type of situation. So this is what sets American Bloom apart from all the other revitalization programs. And then, so if your city enters multiple years, you will get different judges visiting you, not the same people all the time. And then, the 5th step is to attend the educational symposium and awards program. So that's when you get to experience the full national scope of this and really soak it up like a sponge. And then the actual awards program, where winners are announced, all kinds of recognitions. Obviously not everyone can win an award, but everyone wins, and because they have a noticeably better community and people appreciate the work that was done. So and then after the awards, everyone gets the judges' reports. So this is a well-developed metric tool to a third-party objective look at what your community is doing. And as I said, people use this for grant applications and all kinds of things. And it's, a way to prioritize what to work on next, because you can't do it all. And in fact, the first year, just getting your baseline inventory and getting people excited would be the goal. But then once you get the evaluation, you can say, okay, next year we're going to work on these 3 things. And so it's a roadmap for improvement. And then, after you, as I said, getting ready for next year, based on the feedback from the judges. So again, the evaluation is, the criteria is floral displays, landscaped areas, heritage preservation, overall impression, urban forestry, environmental efforts, and within all of these, it's what is the city doing? What is the business district doing, the commercial companies, the residents, and community groups. So here are areas that are looked at. Here's old historic buildings, new modern developments, colleges and schools, municipal buildings, retail districts, residential areas, workplaces. And you are the one who decides where the judges go. They don't do a secret tour on their own. You guide them. Here's a sample evaluation for floral displays. So this is what the grid looks like. So it defines floral displays clearly as flower beds, containers, baskets, window boxes, and looking at the arrangement, originality, how they're distributed, the diversity, are they appropriate for the climate that you live in, the use of annuals, perennials, grasses, different types of plant material. And then there's points assigned for the municipal areas, business, residential, and community, with maximum points for floral displays being 175 points. So you get this blank evaluation beforehand to prepare for the judges. And then, landscape areas, again, the suitability of the landscaping you have, use of native plants, the overall design, sustainability, the hardscapes that go with it, the street furniture, the street lights, all kinds of, those nice aesthetics, the pavers, and community gardens, children's gardens, community involvement, and all that. Here's just some examples. Here's, a nice daylily bed at a business, nice residential, nice downtown, and just all kinds of public places. So again, with the floral displays, so what's being done, how they're being done, the materials being used, and how the volunteers play into all of that. So here's an example, Main Street, a lot of places, really gorgeous big planters, hanging baskets, big median beds, and residential areas. Now, urban forestry is actually a very big part of American bloom. A lot of people don't necessarily equate bloom with trees, but the urban forestry is very important. Taking care of your street canopy. So the variety, how are the trees cared for? How are plantings planned? One thing Ohio has an advantage is Tree City is huge in Ohio, and so many of you probably already are part of Tree City, and that in itself is a huge advantage for the urban forestry category. So here's an example of trees at a public park, the diversity and age of the trees, how they are cared for. This looks like a historic district in the south, preserving these old trees. Really nice, typical Main Street, nice tree canopy there. And, how are new plantings handled? And then heritage, with Main Street having the big historic preservation focus. So just the fact that you already have that focus, and many towns have a historical society, that will contribute greatly. But heritage doesn't have to be historical. In more rural areas, it could be agricultural, it could be natural lay of the land, all kinds of natural features. And cultural heritage, the people who live in your town or settled there. And so how are the buildings being preserved? Any kind of historical markers, museums, any kind of ordinances you have related to heritage. And festivals are living heritage in the present. Here's an example of just an old schoolhouse. Farmers market is just something that brings vibrancy to life. Holland, Michigan, it wouldn't be the same without the Dutch heritage, so that's a huge part of what makes Holland, Holland. Gorgeous historic homes. And then again, we're places where the community gathers. It's a big part of the heritage. The festivals and events that you have. Environmental. So this is recycling, sustainability, LEED certification, energy conservation, cleanup. What is your town doing related to these issues? And you probably already have a lot of ordinances on the books for this, a lot of activities already. So this is the kind of thing. Do you have cleanup days? What kinds of things are you doing to preserve the cleanliness, tidiness, and environment of your town? This just shows some public art made out of garbage. And this is electrical charging stations for the public for their cars. Recycling facilities, very common. LEED certified building and construction. Then the overall impression. What kind of impression does the visitor have? The lack of litter and graffiti, how are public spaces maintained, those kinds of things. Vandalism, just the overall maintenance of the public space. And also, what laws do you have on the books to make sure people maintain the housing stock, especially in older suburbs? That's a big deal. Also signage, very important to overall impression. Signage and wayfinding. What does your city square look like? Parks and playgrounds all create an impression. Entryways to your town, how welcoming, what kind of message? Cleanliness, tidiness, residential areas. And then, how are people pitching in, the community involvement? There seems to be no limit to this, whether it's seniors groups, the kids in the schools. More and more the kids are, especially at the high school level, now being required to put in community service hours for graduation. How can you tap all these groups to contribute to what you're trying to accomplish? So our event will be in Holland, Michigan at the end of September. So anyone who's interested, I highly recommend it. It's not too far for many of you to drive to Michigan. The symposium's pretty affordable, for an excellent 3-day program, in the $200 range. And we do all we can to keep the prices down. So we are all closed for the 2015 contest, so we're looking at 2016. So if you're looking at getting organized for 2016, the deadline to register is February 28th. The registration fee is on a sliding scale based on population size. So a small town doesn't have to pay as much as Chicago, even though it might be less expensive to fly to Chicago, but that kind of thing. So trying to level the playing field in resources here. And in the past, if you register before the end of the year, we publish Best Ideas book that gathers all the ideas from the communities from the first 10 years of American Bloom. So you would read the participation guide for American Bloom, get your volunteers organized. We have an American Bloom startup kit to promote participation. So this is the time, to start planning, especially right now with spring coming. What kinds of things are you already doing, and what could happen? So then after you enter, the next step is to get ready for the judges to come, which in Ohio would mostly be June and July. And complete the community profile that American Bloom sends, and get your volunteers involved, work with your committees to develop the itinerary. What are you going to show the judges when they come? And you plan the tour to highlight all the things they are going to judge. And another thing, so the entry fee does cover the flights of the judges, but it doesn't cover their nights. So maybe you have a bed and breakfast or a hotel who can help with that. And then there needs to be time in the schedule for the judges to work on the evaluation. So that concludes my presentation. And
well, we can now open the floor up for some questions. So if anybody has any questions, just type them in the chat box or the questions pane, and we can answer those. We'll give everybody a couple minutes to do that.
That's good. It looks like we had pretty decent turnout. And I'm happy to talk to anyone directly, one-on-one. Maybe we can make my information available, I guess.
All right. Well, if we don't have any questions, we can wrap up a little early today.
Yeah. And being in Ohio, I'm happy to visit with anybody that wants to get their town involved. I don't mind coming to visit.
Okay. Well, we can make Delilah's information available in the post email. I'd like to thank everybody for attending the webinar today. Our next webinar will be on April 8th with... Oh, wait, we have one more question? Or we do have a question? Let me find it.
I don't see any questions.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we have a question from Lorna Swisher. Typically, does the community get in the first year they apply?
Like meaning winning, or so once you apply and pay the fee, you are in. One thing that you can do, like if you don't want to be judged right away, like you could test drive the program, but you wouldn't get the numerical scoring or awards. So maybe it is better to just go for it. But it's so yeah, all you have to do is sign up and pay the entry fee, and you are in, or your town is in.
All right. Any other questions, anybody? All right. Well, if that's it, then thank you everybody for attending the webinar today. Our next webinar will be on April 8th with Melinda Huntley, and we'll be talking about the top 10 tourism tips. For our calendar of upcoming events, including the future webinars, please visit us at heritageohio.org. Everybody have a great day.
Thanks, Pearl.
Thank you.